Hi everyone, my name is Dr. Irini. I'm the MCQ coordinator here at PharmAchieve. I would like to briefly discuss the new PEBC blueprint for the May and OSCE exams that is effective starting from the May 2026 exam. I have seen the panic emails. I have seen the stress. You probably looked at the blueprint and you thought to yourself, what is changing? But here's the secret. You're already studying this. You're already studying the new material. The new NAPRA competencies were released in 2024. And this was a major change because they usually do it once every 10 years. Since their release in 2024, we anticipated that the PEBC blueprint was going to change soon after. And this is why we've been working very hard on incorporating the new competencies since 2024. So what exactly has changed in the PEBC 2026 blueprint? Well, in this slide over here, we've summarized for you the key changes. So let's first take a look at what was added. The first thing is equity, diversity, and inclusion. This is, I would say, is the biggest addition. You can expect questions on understanding the unique historical and cultural experiences of Indigenous people, how to respond to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, TRC, calls to action, recognizing systemic racism and discrimination in healthcare, and also creating a culturally safe space. You're also now expected to recognize and consider the impact of social determinants of health on patient care. Now, to cover this area, we have added a new lecture on social determinants of health, health equity, and Indigenous health. And not only that, we already have practice questions on those topics in our question bank, and they are clearly labeled for May 2026 exam. The next big addition is the expanded clinical scope. So there is emphasis on roles of prescribing, deprescribing, and adaptation. The NAPRA Competency 1.4.3 explicitly lists prescribing and deprescribing as entry to practice skills. So this means that you're expected to know these for your exam. This information is covered in the continuing education module that is titled Patient Assessment. We have provided this for your benefit. Now, on its own, this module is valued at $400, and it was created in collaboration with OCP, the Ontario College of Pharmacists. We're happy to include a version of it for you at no additional cost. The next addition is pandemic preparedness and emergencies. Now, this is covered in Competency 4.2, and this was a direct addition following the COVID-19 pandemic. But now we see more of a broader definition of the term emergencies. So think about a wide variety of situations. Medical emergencies, for example. How would you deal with a patient who is experiencing an anaphylactic reaction in the pharmacy? Environmental emergencies, such as weather changes, power outage, how do you deal with those? How do you deal with thefts and robberies in the pharmacy? Don't worry, our team has already incorporated all this into the new PharmAchieve MCQ syllabus. The new blueprint also redefines your interaction with shared provincial electronic health records. What does that mean? The highlight here is that you are no longer just viewers of the EHR, electronic health record, you're actually contributors. So the exam now expects you to actively update the system. For example, whether you have discovered a new allergy that the patient has, or you are deprescribing a medication, a narcotic for example, you must demonstrate that you're inputting this data into the provincial network system, okay? So that another healthcare provider doesn't go ahead and prescribe the medication that you deprescribed, or doesn't go ahead and prescribe the medication that the patient is allergic to, okay? We also know that point-of-care testing is a major part of the 2026 blueprint. This is why we've gone above and beyond to secure accreditation from the CCCEP. So this is the Canadian Council on Continuing Education in Pharmacy. It actually took a team of 11 licensed pharmacists, 6 authors, and 5 reviewers to build this comprehensive deep dive so that you don't only just learn the material, you actually master it. In many provinces, this isn't just a certificate that you get, it's your legal ticket to expanded practice rights. Lastly, the new blueprint puts emphasis on safety culture. So the highlight here is active risk mitigation. Our updated syllabus trains you to proactively anticipate and manage high-risk situations. We also teach you how to identify and respond to medication incidents, for example, or near misses with clinical precision. So what has been removed from the blueprint? Entirely deleted are sections on supervising and managing your staff, organizational and time management, and also workload management. You will no longer be tested on this. Now, also something interesting is that developing master compounding formulas is no longer a standalone item by itself. So we see a de-emphasis on that aspect. So now, as a visual representation, we see side by side the new competencies and the old NAPRA competencies. Now we can see that the 9 competencies have sort of been consolidated into just 6. We can see that the practice setting has been disbanded altogether, with some parts of it, they took it and they put it in the distribution subcompetency 1B. We also see competencies like ethical, legal, and professional responsibilities, along with quality and safety. So those were 2 separate competencies, and now they're sort of in one competency under professionalism. Same thing here we see with communication and inter and intraprofessional collaboration, now their own competency and called communication and collaboration. And like mentioned previously, topics that have been deleted from the new blueprints, you are no longer tested on that. So now when we compare the blueprints side by side, we see the most significant changing happening to the knowledge and expertise competency here. This section now accounts for 11% of the exam, whereas before it was only 6%. So this will include topics like EBM, evidence-based medicine, literature, references. You're going to be tested on, for example, which references to trust. Where do you look and where do you go for information to answer a specific question? How do you evaluate the quality and the quantity of the evidence that you have? Okay, this will result in approximately 7 to 8 additional questions on the exam. Other than this, if you look at the rest of them, you will find that the other competency areas are sort of stable. They will show only like a slight increase or decrease by 1 or 2%, but they are stable for the most part. Now, in terms of OSCE, we see again one significant change, which is patient care. Now, patient care is more emphasized than before. So there's 40% weight on patient care as opposed to only 32%. And as a result of that, we see that communication had seen a major decrease by 9%. Okay, so now it's only 28% of your OSCE weight as opposed to 37%. What does that mean? Well, now we see that they're taking away from the communication competency to make more room for clinical care. So you can expect less documentation, less collaboration, and more emphasis on the clinical aspect of patient care.